Everyone wants success, but very few are willing to pay the price. Ballet has tested me with one question. What am I willing to give up for it? My name is Aaron. Welcome to Faith and Révérence. Whenever a door of opportunity opens for you and you walk through that door, it's easy to think that that's going to make everything automatically easier. But in reality, most of the time, when you walk through a door of opportunity, things do not become easier. They become more difficult, and you're tested more as to how much you're willing to give and what you're actually willing to do to reach your goals and to reach success in whatever it is that you're pursuing. I know for me, that sacrifice can show up in so many different ways. And there are a lot of ways in which it shows up, which are relatively small and just consistent day-to-day sacrifices that need to be made. There are also big sacrifices that need to be made. I think that we hear a little bit of some people's stories of how they've had to sacrifice to achieve success, but I think that there's a lot that we're missing and that we don't hear everything, so we don't always realize what it actually takes, and we think that people obtain success and that their lives become easier. But as I mentioned, they don't become easier. They actually become more difficult because they come with, these opportunities come with higher levels of responsibility, and it oftentimes takes more work to keep achieving your goals and to keep reaching higher and higher levels and to keep progressing. For me, that sacrifice has showed up in so many different ways. And one of the ways in which it showed up, I've already mentioned before, was just kind of putting myself into uncomfortable situations, cold calling, taking intermediate and advanced classes, just putting my ego to the side and making myself uncomfortable. My home studio, Prince Sev Ballet Academy, is in Laguna Hills, California. It's in Orange County. I live in San Bernardino County. I live about an hour and a half to 2 hours away from the academy. And it's quite a drive. Why do I make that drive? Why do I still keep this as my home studio when there are so many other dance studios closer to me? Well, there are a lot of reasons behind that. One is because of the opportunities which have been afforded to me here by the management and the owner, being able to take classes in exchange for account credit, which, by the way, is kind of a sacrifice in and of itself because that is time that could be spent marketing myself, looking to do other jobs, possibly doing other jobs, making cash to pay my bills, whatever. So there's a sacrifice there, but it was a sacrifice that needed to be made, and I knew that, and it's a great opportunity. By the way, I'm not at all trying to discount that because it is an amazing opportunity. But another reason why I've driven to the studio is to take classes. Oftentimes, I would try to take classes on the same day that I would already be doing something else in Orange County. So, for example, my church is Saddleback Church. It's located in Lake Forest. It's about 15 minutes down the road from Prince Sev Ballet Academy, which is a huge blessing in and of itself. But I would try to align things to where I could go to church and then go take a lesson, or go take a lesson and then go to church, or maybe even go work for some clients from the church doing handyman work, making some money on the same day that I'm already down in Orange County. And that was kind of my rhythm. And I wouldn't drive down to the studio if I didn't have any other reason to be there other than take a class. But one day came where I wanted to take a class, and I knew I had all this account credit, and I knew that I would be doing nothing else that day in Orange County, nor could I. But I knew that if I drove down to that class and took that group class, that I would probably learn something that I wouldn't learn otherwise when I was at home doing my solo work. Doing solo work at home, bar work, whatever. It's good. It's really great practice. I think that it needs to happen. It needs to happen consistently. And you can still have little breakthroughs and learn things while doing that stuff on YouTube or whatever. But I knew that I always learned the most when I was in class, and I was always pushed more to my limit when I'm in class. So that one day I had a decision to make. Do I want to drive an hour and a half to 2 hours each way to take a 90-minute class therefore taking up a 5-hour chunk of my day just to take a class. Is it worth it? Well, I decided that it probably was worth it, and I went ahead and I invested that 5 hours to take that class. And I ended up getting that correction. I ended up learning something in that class, and I ended up getting some affirmation from my teacher at the time where I said, "You know what? This was worth it." It was quite a long drive, but it was absolutely worth it. I think most people would look at that and say, "That's too much. I couldn't give up that much of my time and my life for one class. It's ridiculous. All the gas spent, all the time spent. There's no reason for it." Well, I would definitely argue that there was a reason for it, and there still is. And it comes down to sacrifice. Are you willing to do what it takes to learn and to improve? Now, I'm not suggesting that everyone needs to drive 5 hours a day to go take a ballet class. I'm sure there are other opportunities for other people in different situations which are more manageable. And there are different things which sometimes are a little more realistic for people to be able to accomplish within their schedules and their resources. All I'm saying is that God put me at this studio for a reason. I believe that this is my home studio for a reason. I don't believe I'm here by chance. And like I said, I mean, I called a couple hundred studios looking for opportunities. This was the studio that was willing to give me a chance, was willing to give me the opportunities, and was willing to work with me and provide the mentorship and the training that I needed. I'm not saying my story is going to be the same as everyone else's, but this is how my story ended up. And so therefore I'm here. And I don't regret it one bit. I don't regret those long drives. I feel that I've learned so much through that sacrifice that it was always worth it. It wasn't that long ago that I was sitting in the office with Ivan, the owner of the studio, and Julia, the studio manager, and we were having a conversation in which I was reminiscing to them about how I've only known them for 6 months, but that they've already become like my family. Julia then decided to let me know about a conversation that she had with Ivan when I first cold called the studio. And she told Ivan something along the lines of, "Hey, there's this older man who wants to train in ballet, and he's essentially willing to work for free." And Ivan's response to that apparently was, "It's too good to be true." Well, let me tell you, it obviously was not too good to be true because here I am. What I learned in that was that I'm an anomaly of sorts. As I said earlier, everyone wants success, but very few are actually willing to pay the price. I was willing to pay the price. I was willing to do whatever it took within reason, although I guess my level of reason is a little bit out there and what some people would consider delusional, but um, I was willing to pay the price, and that showed a lot to them. And I think that's a big part of the reason why they were willing to work with me and try to provide some level of opportunity for me, even if it was minimal to begin with. And there was that trust building that happened, right? I started to build trust with them, build relationships with them, and that started to happen before the real opportunities came. The same evening that Julia shared that story with me, Ivan pulled me to the side and he asked me if I would co-found a company with him. That caught me completely off guard. Needless to say, I was honored. He actually expressed to me that it was a first for him, that he's never partnered with somebody in a business like that before, and that he usually prefers to hire employees. But he told me that he had some thinking to do and that he decided that I was somebody that he wanted to work with. Actually, he went so far as to say that I'm somebody that he wants to work with for the rest of his life. As I said, I was completely honored, and of course, I said yes. I had a friend ask me, "Why would Ivan partner with you on a business in a field that you have no experience in?" And I think it's a valid question, but I don't think it comes back to experience or lack thereof. I think it comes back to character. It goes back to that story that Julia told about how I'm this older man who wants to pursue ballet and I'm willing to work for free. And Ivan thought it's too good to be true. Because who's willing to put in that level of sacrifice and commitment to follow their dreams? Well, it wasn't too good to be true, as I said, and here I am. And I think that Ivan saw that I was committed and passionate about ballet and that I was willing to do what it took to pursue my dream of becoming a professional ballet dancer. That translated into him trusting me and knowing a little bit more about my character to a point where he was able to determine at some point that he wanted to start a business with me. So I think it's just really important to realize that sacrifice does lead to opportunity, and it doesn't always lead right away to opportunity. That level of trust and commitment has to be built from the ground up over time, and eventually it will lead to opportunity, even if you don't see that happening right away. There are a lot of sacrifices I've had to make and will continue to have to make in order to pursue a career in ballet. With the training, having to film the vlog content. I love filming the vlog content. I think it's extremely important to be able to tell my story and also to be able to support my own goals and mission with that. But it's not easy. The vlog is a part-time job in and of itself. With the training, the vlog content, everything else mixed in. Sometimes I don't leave the dance studio until 3 in the morning. Sometimes I have to park in a parking lot somewhere and sleep in my car because it's been such a long day and I don't get out until so late that I'm just completely wiped out and I can't make it all the way home. So I have to park in my car and sleep in a parking lot. It's a sacrifice that has to be made, but I'm willing to do it because, as I said, it's important to be willing to give of yourself in order to pursue your goals. It's important to be willing to give up some things, some comfort and some convenience in order to accomplish what you want to accomplish. Otherwise, is it even worth it? Is it even worth the accomplishment if you didn't have to sacrifice anything for it? Maybe not. The sacrifices are temporary. There will always be sacrifices. You won't always have the same sacrifices. Those will be temporary, but some other sacrifices will come in the future as well. There's always going to be sacrifice. With the physical and the mental exhaustion, I've had to ask myself, is it worth it? But it absolutely is worth it. And I still choose to do ballet despite everything that it costs me. Rick Warren said something once, and it was along the lines of successful people are simply people who are willing to do what most others are not willing to do on a day to day. It's those little habits, it's those little micro things, those sacrifices that are made on a day to day basis that actually make someone successful. They push through and they push through and they push through for months and years, but eventually they have a breakthrough and they become successful. Ballet specifically is very discipline laden. Discipline isn't so much about being strong as it is about doing what you don't want to do over and over, going against your nature because the long term is more important to you than the short term. Discipline shows face in many different ways. One of the major ways that it shows is through delayed gratification. And the purpose of delayed gratification isn't so that you'll have to suffer now. It's actually so that you'll have more enjoyment later. Ballet is a lot like that. You have to put yourself through a lot of discomfort and stretching and working out and just intense training in order to become this top level dancer, assuming that's your goal. I know that's not everyone's goal, but even if your goal isn't to become a top level dancer, ballet is still hard. As we said before, we all know that ballet is not easy, and it still takes considerable effort and training to improve, even to a small level. So, like I said, it's a lot like that. It's delaying gratification. It's putting yourself through discomfort now so that you can feel better later on. It's like a runner. You run, you don't really feel great initially when you're running, but that runner's high kicks in. And after you're done running, you just feel so great and you feel so healthy and you just want to like take on the world. That's exactly what it is. And even if it's not athletic for you, it could be anything. It could be saving your money so you can buy a house one day. Like, okay, maybe you have to put up with not buying that stuff that you want to buy every day, eating out or whatever in order to be able to save money so you can buy a house or a nice car or whatever. It's delayed gratification. Everything important in life that you want to obtain or achieve requires some level of that. So don't forget that. Discipline is really important, and sacrifice is a huge part of that. In order to delay gratification, you're going to have to sacrifice your comfort now for better things in the future. I'm really excited to see where ballet takes me. Ballet is hard. It's about commitment, and I'm really committed to this. I'm willing to put in the sacrifice. I'm willing to keep putting in the time, and I just really want to see where my full potential is and see how far I can get on this journey. Hopefully, you guys are along for the ride. If you enjoy the channel, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, maybe even throw a comment down below and let me know what you've had to or are currently sacrificing for, or maybe even let me know where you might be afraid to sacrifice. That's okay too, and I'd love to have those discussions with you. Anyways, have a good one and continue to move forward in faith and with reverence.